Well, let's bring in Mariam Atash, who is a member of the US-Afghan Women's Council. She's also a law professor and managing attorney at Prime Counsel Law Firm. She joins us on Skype from New York. Thank you for your time. From what we've heard from General Mark Milley, it's almost like what's happening on the ground in Afghanistan is a surprise. But, I mean, the drawdown has been planned for a very long time.
I think, yes, the drawdown has been planned for many years, actually beginning from the Obama administration. It's something that has been planned. But the issue now is, what kind of plan is this where within a week of the U.S. leaving Bagram Air Base in a way that really didn't even give respect to the Afghan government in the middle of the night, that the Taliban has made such a great advance? I think this should be alarming to the U.S. decision makers themselves. If the Pentagon is saying that this is the rate of advance of the Taliban and this was not what was planned, that should be cause for alarm and maybe rethink of the strategy.
As part of the US-Taliban deal, the Taliban was meant to enter into this intra-Afghan dialogue. Instead, it's making battlefield gains, and those talks are not really progressing. So what's your take on the success of that US-Taliban deal?
I think that we never really moved from a strategy of war to one of peace successfully. These talks have been happening for over a year and a half. I interviewed women in the summer of 2019 who were part of the peace process. And at that time, they indicated that the Taliban was willing to speak and to be reformed in some ways. And there was hope that they could come to the peace table and a plan could come amongst all the parties. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. At the same time that the Taliban would be at the peace table, they would be bombing a few miles away. And so I think that they never really were very, upfront and forthcoming about their participation in the peace talks. And they had another plan. And perhaps they were looking and waiting to see what the U.S. would do and how the Afghan National Army would do. And unfortunately, although they have received some training from the U.S., it doesn't seem that they're doing as well as they could. And right now, it's the Afghan people through the state that still is representing them that need this assistance. Otherwise, unfortunately, we could see another cycle of violence in Afghanistan, and we could be repeating history. And the U.S. may think that it's not its problem today, and 10, 20 years down the line, it could become the country's problem again. So I really don't think that the U.S. leadership can ignore what's happening right now on the ground in Afghanistan.
Given what we're seeing right now on the ground in Afghanistan, the Taliban says it controls more than what the US says the Taliban controls, but that's kind of by the by. My question is, given what you're seeing on the ground, what are your concerns for the women of Afghanistan?
Well, I think the women continue to be a vulnerable population, but it's still overall, it's not just the women, it's the people of Afghanistan. There's still civilian casualties at a high rate. The people, if we all remember, are still getting, past this COVID-19, virus that affected the country's economy. And we have to keep in mind the country's population is still very young. Over 60% are still under the age of 18. Many have gotten an education. There's been a lot of progress in the country. Every time you go there, you can see progress on the ground. And I think the Afghan people could be good partners in a peace effort if the right leadership there could be supported. And so I think, unfortunately, we're seeing a kind of withdrawal of support. Hopefully, the international engagement will continue. The White House has made statements that their assistance for humanitarian economic assistance will continue. However, if we don't have basic peace, I'm not sure how they will deliver that aid to the people. And so we don't want to see this turn into a humanitarian crisis right at the time when we could go on a path towards peace and stability.
All right, thank you very much for your analysis there, Mariam Atash, there, a member of the US-Afghan Women's Council.
Thank you.